Anytime you're in a high stress environment, you need to cut out emotion. Emotions can take you up, down, sideways, thinking about the past, thinking about the forward, and all that is just clutter. Yo,
Steve,
yeah,
how you doing, man?
good.
All right, all right. Hey, man. Today I am joined by Steve Terrill. Steve is a firefighter with the city of Phoenix. He's also a member of the International Association of Firefighters. He helps lead strength and conditioning protocol for all of the fire cadets that come into the Phoenix Fire Academy. Hey, Steve, man, welcome.
Hey man, thanks man. It's a blessing to be here, and glad that you putting something like this together. I think it's going to be beneficial for a lot of folks out there.
Well, man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And we appreciate what you do as a profession. Um, I think it's interesting when you study parallel professions and individuals who are in high stress, high stakes situations, type environments to learn what they do. And I think that we can learn a lot from you today. So tell us a little bit about your journey as an athlete, as a firefighter, and kind of how you came to this point in your life, man.
Uh, well, I think, from the beginning, I've always felt like I was more of an athletic type person. I just always wanted to work out, run, play some kind of sport. That competitiveness in me was always pretty high. Um, so I just played multiple sports growing up, and, football, basketball, and I used to run track just to keep in shape and keep fast and get faster for football. Um, So as I kind of migrated into high school, I could see that football was a little bit more of my calling as far as athletics go. So just kind of kept following that journey into college, and then a little bit into a couple years of arena ball. And but once I, kind of got to the threshold there where it was, where am I going? What am I going to keep doing? I can't keep playing football or something like that forever. So I had to start thinking about what I was going to do with my life, and that's kind of when I started hitting my soul search a little bit, and started to realize, there's something bigger out there that I could be doing to help other people, or to offer myself, my physical self, in a different way, and I kind of found that through firefighting. So I thought
So
that was a perfect profession for me to kind of hit both of those worlds.
that's awesome,
So
man. That's awesome. And you have a unique perspective because not only are you a firefighter, but you also oversee training and development of young fire cadets who aspire to be firefighters. So you have like that performance hat as well. Um, Talk to us a little bit more about what you do at the academy.
yeah, so like I said before, I've been competitive. I've always been competitive. Like, I love training. I love working out. I love getting up at dark 30 and just getting it on. So I think that drive that I had for that drove me with another group of individuals down there, that we all had the like mind of how we wanted to train other firefighters coming in, because ultimately they're going to be sitting in the back seat pulling hose lines off next to me, and I wanted to have a firsthand experience on how they get trained in the mental aspect and the physical aspect and all that stuff. So um, right now we're a peer fitness training group of guys. We're all firefighters, engineers, captains, all that kind of stuff. We're just down there as a melting pot, just of guys that all walks of life. And as the new recruits come in, we kind of take them through uh, a couple different things. We take them through strength, and we take them through conditioning. So as they come in, we try to get them, 4 to 6 weeks before the academy starts, and they meet us down there twice a week, and we just talk about techniques, squats, deads, snatches, all those kind of stuff that we think are important for uh, functionable, relatable lifts that go directly into what we do as a
Mhm.
firefighter. And we just take them through those techniques, talk about it, make sure they're doing it with the bar first and doing it safe, and then we'll take them outside and show them what we need for conditioning wise, because firefighting is a little bit different. It's a unique animal, even different from football, even different from baseball. all of that stuff. And because we're working in turnouts and 115-degree weathers and stuff, so we got to kind of adjust our workout plan to that. So basically, that's what we do down there. When they come in, we just kind of get them dialed in with the way that we think is important for Phoenix Fire.
That's awesome, man. So I got a question for you, real quick. I want you to go through the ranking from the bottom of the totem pole all the way to the top in your world, and I want you to correlate that to, like, let's say even baseball. Baseball, you have rookies, you have short
Hmm.
season, low A, high A, double A, triple A. Then you got the big leagues. What kind of uh, talk to us about the correlation and more importantly, what type of mindset do you have to have as a cadet, as someone coming into your profession in order to make it to the top? Like, what kind of mindset do you look for, or that is almost a prerequisite for a cadet to be successful?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is just humility. Um, you when I came in as a recruiter, cadet, I looked at all this experience that was around me and was just kind of like in awe, like wow, there's 30 years of firefighting experience right in front of me, and this guy and this captain, and basically you come in as a recruit, you graduate to a firefighter, and then you go from firefighter. You have the option to go to an engineer, which is the guy that drives the truck, and then after that you go to captain. Um, and then from there you can go to battalion chief, division or deputy chief, to assistant chief, to fire chief. So it's it's a long road. So I think when you're approaching it like as a professional athlete, it's the same thing. You're coming in, you're learning from anybody that has experience in that program. The guys have been playing baseball a long time, and especially as a new guy, you got to look at it like, hey, I grew up watching some of these guys and just coming in and staying humble and working hard, staying hungry, treating every day as like your first day. Even when you got a couple years in the game, it doesn't matter. I'm going on 10 years this year as a firefighter, and I've pulled hose lines off and been in fires and made front end decisions on a lot of that stuff
Hmm.
when I was caught in a pickle, and I'm still learning. I still feel like there's not a lot, like I still need to get out there. So I approach every day, coming to work, driving in, like, hey, today could be the day. I could have that career fire. I mean,
Hmm.
there could be, somebody stuck in the building. There could be a kid stuck and I can't have an off day. And
Yeah.
so that it's not fair to that family. It's not fair to those citizens that I'm having an off day. I got to come in every day, um, competitive with myself to make sure that I'm, the best person I can be, driving in to make sure that my crew knows that I'm good and we're ready to perform that day. And I think as an athlete, it's the same thing. You come in, you treat it every day, you do the small stuff, you work your butt off, and you just stay at it, and you'll be successful.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. You can't have an off day because there's citizens and families that are depending on you, man. And um, that's powerful stuff. What would you say if you can? I'm gonna make you work a little bit here, man. I'm gonna make you work. If you can break down a firefighter's life in one word, just one, what would that be? What would that one word be?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh yeah,
Ah, firefighters, my life, huh?
one word.
Um, that's tough, man. There's so many aspects of what we do, just from sleep deprivation to coming home and being dad, being husband. Um, I would say probably consistency.
Okay.
Um, you got to be consistent. It's like you're in it for the long haul.
Hmm.
Your life's journey. My well-being as a person depends on my consistency. Like I was saying before, just every day showing up. I do a dangerous job, so I keep that in mind. Um, so I would just have to say consistency, because when I look at it, I don't look at it as a 5-year job or a 10-year job. I look at it as a 30-year career
Hmm.
that has lasting effects after I get off the job. I'm exposed to cancers and sicknesses and,
Wow.
HIV patients and blood and guts and all that kind of stuff that comes with our job on car wrecks and all that kind of stuff. So I'm constantly exposed to that. And I'm constantly making sure that I'm consistent with my routines by cleaning myself up, making sure I'm not dragging that stuff home uh, to my family, as well as keeping myself safe,
Mhm.
wearing the appropriate stuff that I need to so that I can enjoy my retirement.
And you don't have to get into dates and times and locations, but what's the craziest thing that you've ever been a part of as a firefighter? Was it, whether it's an emergency call, training situation, high stress scenario, like what was the craziest thing in your career that you've ever been a part of?
Oh man, it's funny. We get a lot of those questions. A lot of writers or somebody that's interested in the job or stuff like that. I mean, honestly, it's such a crazy job. Like just some of the things that we see, I'm just like, wow. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly what's crazy, but you know, there's different kinds of crazy, I guess I would say. One of the like the worst is when we get like drownings and stuff like that. It's just such a sad situation. Anytime a child or something like
Mhm.
that goes down, and it's just like a horrifying sight.
Yeah.
So that's crazy in its own right, because the high stress, as you can imagine, with the family and having to deal with all the little fires that need to get put out
Hmm.
on a scene like that. To where you know, another kind of crazy could be, I we went on about a 4 or 5 vehicle accident where a couple cars got tumbled about 3 or 4 times and looked like they were absolutely mashed when we got there. The person and we just walked up and the lady just was kind of just looking at us, not a scratch on her, just seatbelted in, hanging upside down in her car,
Hmm.
and you're just like, wow, that
Thank.
that female or that lady should have been a lot worse, and she
Mhm.
doesn't have a scratch on her. And judging by the accident, you wouldn't even think anybody was alive. So that's another crazy thing that I go on all the time, and so there's different kinds of crazies, man. It's tough. The fires, obviously, I didn't really talk about that, but let me just preface that. In Phoenix, we are medics and EMTs as well as firefighters, so it's not like that around the country. Um, you know, some of the folks back east, they have like an EMS division or emergency medical division, and then they have a fire division. But we're kind of unique here in Phoenix where we go both.
Hmm.
So we do respond to heart attacks, strokes, shootings, car wrecks, all that kind of stuff, as well as fires. So, um, as far as fires go, there's I think that we do a great job of training, and so as crazy as it seems, it becomes a little more predictable with each repetition that you get. So,
Hmm.
um, that's it.
That's good, man. As a firefighter, as somebody who is responding to emergencies, when everybody around you is losing their mind, you have to keep yours. And when it comes to high stakes environment, even as an athlete, right? I think there's some things that we can learn from your profession. When you come into a high stakes environment, high pressure situation, what are one to two things that an individual can do to kind of calm down that you would recommend?
Yeah, man. This is what we live for, right? High stakes, you know, athlete, firefighter, whoever else that enjoys that competitive nature, that high stress environment. For me, I'm the type of person that thrives in that. I kind of look forward to that, and I hope anybody listening to that is like that as well. I actually just got to speak to the recruit class about a couple months ago on the same topic, and what I thought was extremely important was to rely on your training. Anytime you're in a high stress environment, you need to cut out emotion. Emotions can take you up, down, sideways, thinking about the past, thinking about the forward, and all that is just clutter.
Hmm.
Um, I think you need to just focus on the basics, focus on what you've learned to that point, and trust and rely on the training that has brought you to that level. If any of the baseball guys or whatever's listening, it's you got to that level for a reason, and it's because you did all that stuff up to that point to make yourself successful. So, I was talking to the recruits a little bit. None of us in that room, we all had up to 10 to 15 to 20 years experience. None of us that were already firefighters had pulled a hand line off and ran into a burning building before we got this job. I mean, it is a unique job,
Hmm.
and you can only do it when you're a firefighter. So we come in as athletes, construction workers, I mean, you name it, and none of us has pulled a line in with a hose line and ran into a burning building. So we had to rely on our training. I mean, my first fire, I had to rely on my training. Of course, you're stressed out, but you're kind of excited because you know you can do this.
Hmm.
And I cut out emotion, and I said, you know what, I've done this before. Yeah, that thing's on fire, but I've pulled a hand line before in a practice situation. I've turned the hydrant on in a practice situation. Yes, I know that they need water to the truck, and everybody's livelihoods on kind of banking on that, but I've done it before, and it's no big deal. And you kind of take that emotion out, bring that confidence up to the front, and get it done. I mean,
I love it.
you can do it. You
Yeah.
just get it done. So no excuses, man. It's something that you do every single day. If you want to consider yourself a professional, it, you have to do the small things right every single day, and that's what makes you successful.
I mean, you said that you got to take emotion out, you got to bring confidence to the front, and cut out emotion. I think that right there could solve so many of the problems that we have in regards to, um, anxiety, stress, just
Hmm.
erratic thought and behavior. Just very
Hmm.
powerful. Let me ask you this. I want you to fill in the blank, man. I'm gonna make you work again, man. I'm gonna make you work. Fill in the blank, man. Every leader has to have what?
Oh, I think for me, that comes to my mind is purpose. Um, you got to find your purpose as a leader, man. You got to see which direction you're sailing in. Um, Purpose is huge. Finding your purpose, trying to figure out what skill set um, complements that the most, what profession, what job, what position on the field, what does that complement your purpose the most? And because the one thing that nobody can judge or stop you is is a man or a woman's purpose in life. And if they're driving towards that, nobody can judge you, nobody can stop you, nobody can say anything about that. So
Hmm.
I think every leader has to have purpose.
That's great. Um, I want to. I want to go back. I want to go back to the stress and anxiety issue because that plagues sports. It plagues business. It plagues education, academia. Um, have you ever been in a situation in which you saw one of your comrades like choke in a high stressful situation? And more importantly, what was done to help mitigate or destroy the problem, to solve the problem?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, in our profession, when we're doing an evolution for a house fire or something where there's some real high stress um, environment and one of your comrades drop the ball, it's tough because every single other person of that member of that team has to make up for that, and we don't get so much say second chances for what we do. Um, in a house fire or something like that, the fire's doubling every minute. So every minute we're dropping the ball, that thing's getting twice as big. So um, for us, honestly, in that evolution or something where somebody's dropping the ball, we just kind of cut them out. We just say, hey, man, back off or get out of the way or, you know, take take a second. You know what I mean? Just get out of the way of the situation because you're only going to keep hindering it.
Hmm.
And I think that's the pressure that every fireman puts on themselves is to make sure that they're ready for that one moment. Um, you know, what else are you doing? If you you know, in your downtime, are you not making yourself better every day? Are you not mentally preparing yourself for that chance that you get to make that difference?
Hmm.
And so, uh, when one of my comrades or something like that kind of drops the ball, if I have the time, if we have the time, um, if we have the time to sit there and be like, hey, you know, get back to the basics, the training, things that I was talking about earlier, we can say that and kind of just get them back on page. But if we're in a real fast situation, we'll just get them out of the way.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how we have to deal with it in that moment.
That's and I think that what you said has so much merit is in that there's no second chances, and it is my responsibility, my duty, as you said prior, to make sure that I bring my A game for these citizens and for their families. And so, um, making sure that I can kind of cover, my comrade when he needs me is huge. And I like the way this conversation is going because the undertones are prevalent, even though not more so on not so much on a life and death level. In sports, the undertones are prevalent in the same type of emotions and responses that individuals have to answer to in stressful situations. And so, I have another question that kind of plays off of the previous one, and the question is there a common trait that you see in firefighters and cadets, in athletes? Because I know you train athletes as well. Um, that you see before their breaking point. Is there a common trait that you see before an individual breaks that you're like, you know what? These are the signs. Let me go ahead and intervene and help this cat out.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of what we're referring to a little bit too is kind of that overconfidence that a lot of athletes can have, especially very talented ones. Um, you know, that's that humility thing I was talking about, I think a little bit earlier,
Mm-hmm.
is when you can approach things with some humility, um, things just go a little bit easier. They just go that much smoother. And so if I get to see some of that, because honestly, to be truthful and real, that was me at one point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we all have that. There ain't, we're all not out of that exception. And so when I see it and it rears its head real quick, I can identify it real fast. And talking to them about overconfidence and not really grasping the fact of what you're about to enter. Um, So, whether that be a recruit or with athletes. Um, so that's my point to intervene and just kind of try to break it down for them real and kind of give them a heads up. I mean, that's what experience is for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
So you would say that, yeah. I mean, the old adage, right? Pride comes before the fall. When you start seeing that, you know
yep,
that, hey man, I got to come in and talk to this guy real
yep,
quick.
yeah, exactly.
Very nice. One of the things that I know that you take a lot of pride in, and that you have actually alluded to earlier, is this whole thing of preparation. And I think it was Archelaus. I think he said, we do not rise to the occasion, but we fall
Hmm.
to the level of our preparation. Tell us how you go about preparation, and why it's so important to you, man.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what I was talking about when I come in every day for work. It starts with the mental game. Um, when I kiss my baby and kiss my wife goodbye, I start mentally preparing for that day or for what I have coming up um, before me. And so I think mentally engaging. with what you are about to go do or what you're trying to do in your life attached to that purpose. And
Hey, I lost you there, man.
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, I lost you there. You were talking about, let's see here. I think, yeah,
Yeah, the mental preparation and getting engaged
yeah. So go
and
ahead. Yeah, so go ahead and pick up from where you were talking. You're talking about preparation and how how you personally go about preparing. And you said the moment you leave your family, you kiss your family, you start mentally engaging. And I think that's where you left off.
yeah, like I was saying, I just whatever whatever thing I'm doing at that time in life or what I'm trying to accomplish is I mentally engage. I think you have to mentally engage with what you're doing. It has to consume you to a certain point, um, to where your thoughts go that way. You're thinking about different ways you can better yourself, to make sure that you're successful for that. And for me, it starts with mental. And if, for me, firefighting is a real physically demanding job. And, you know, fires and the Phoenix heat out here, it don't take no prisoners.
Yeah.
So it's up to me to make sure that I'm physically prepared for what I got to do every day. Like I said before, it's not fair to the owner of that house or whatever that I'm out of shape. So I can't do that. So for me, mentally preparing and then starting to do the physical things that need to do to stack up to what I'm mentally trying to get done is how I prepare. And I do the small things right. I do the basics. That should be bread and butter. And then you can start venturing out and honing your own craft to a
Hmm.
certain point. And like I said, it's when you're prepared for anything, it doesn't matter what you got. You've been doing the things that you need to and doing your due diligence to make sure you're successful. So
I love it, man. And I know you're one of the most prepared people that I know, and so I know what you're saying is it's worth its weight in gold because it's true. That's awesome, man. What are you the most passionate about, man?
oh, I'm passionate about living a good life. um, for me, just finding my purpose of what I need to do in life a while ago, and staying on that, making sure, my home life is good and I'm maximizing my skills as a person every day, is something is that I enjoy doing. Um, so that's it, man. Just living it every day and having a good life.
Living a good
So,
life. That's great, man. I concur. What pisses you off, man? What things can't you? What are some things you just can't stand? What's one thing you just can't stand, man?
oh, I hate laziness. I mean, legitly, like it, it's just terrible. Like if you get a talented person or you see so much potential in that person and they're just lazy, it's just go home.
Mm,
We don't need you here.
yeah.
Go home. You know what I mean? So that's a pet peeve of mine because laziness is something that, you know, that's on you. I can help you get faster. I can help you get stronger. I can mentally prepare you for what you need to do. I can, try to give you all the experience passed along of, fighting fires or something like that. But if you're lazy, just go home because you're going to make my life worse.
Yeah.
I'll end
Yeah.
up just cutting you out because you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Because
man.
you're part of my team, and if you're lazy, I'm cutting you out. I'd rather run with three. I'd rather run with three horses than four dogs. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I hear you, brother. That's good stuff right there, man. And man, before we close, man, I just want to say thank you, man, for taking the time. I mean, a lot of great nuggets here and just real life, practical stuff, man. So I appreciate you, man.
yeah, man. Anytime, dude. It's good times, dude. So
Yeah, man.
hopefully the cats out there that listen up, man. Hopefully they can take something away and better their life with it. You know what I mean?
No
So
doubt. No doubt. And this is my last question. This is my last question. And the whole premise of this podcast series is melting point. And in order for us to be something great, we first have to be broken down, man. And
Hmm.
and all those bad habits, thoughts, behaviors, just those things that don't need to be there have to be melted, literally melted out, just like gold is melted and all the impurities are burnt out before it becomes
Hmm.
that lustrous piece of jewelry, of metal. What was that melting point in your life, at the point where you said, you know what, man, like I could have either went right or left, or I could have just sat there and got ran over. What,
Hmm.
what was that? What was that melting point, man? That point in your life, man.
Oh, I think to be honest with you, I mean, obviously, I don't feel like I'm that old, but I'm old enough to have gone through maybe one or two of those now. And I think as a young man, um, the first one was making that transition from trying to be a professional athlete and what do I do after that?
Mm-hmm.
Because your whole life, you're the guy. You're the guy to go to. You're the guy that gets the ball. You're the guy that goes up to bat. You're the guy that every, coach, player, team, support, everything is always leaning on you because you're the guy that always came through, or you're the one that's always been talented. And the further and further and further you get up those ranks, the tougher and tougher that competition is, and you start not being that guy anymore. And it takes a gut check for you to either kick in and approach that thing like a lion and, eat it up and rise to that next level. Because obviously the other ones are catching up
Mm-hmm.
or have passed you. And I think for me, when I was, playing ball and stuff like that, I just kept getting this draw for something bigger. And I just, for being a professional athlete, I could see that I was getting kind of capped out with that. And I was like, you know what? There's so much more to life for me, besides just being a professional athlete.
Mm-hmm.
My whole life was to think about being an athlete, and that was it, and that was it, and that was it. But in reality, most people only play at the most till they're about 40. I mean, Tom Brady and James Harrison, those dudes are still getting it on, but they're a rare breed,
Yeah.
and so really the first quarter of your life is basically sports and that's it. So what else are you going to do with the rest of your 75% of your life?
Mm-hmm.
So to kind of evade being that person that wears his Letterman's jacket every day, trying to tell every tries to tell everybody what he was, you got to start looking a little bit deeper. And I think that when I made that transition from being a professional athlete to a fireman, it was, hey, you know what? There's a lot other people that I could be helping out there, and I can't be so selfish all the time trying to be the top of what I am. I still kept that competitiveness and all of that stuff. I just rolled it in to a job profession that was a little more rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to go home and lay my head on the pillow that night, knowing that, I tried to make a difference in somebody else's life and, you know, tried to do the best I can that day is something that is a vacuum. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
is a vacuum is a vacuum that can't be filled other than serving other people. You know what I mean? So
Man, well said, man. That's powerful. A lot of things to unwrap there, and just a lot of wisdom and knowledge from you. So, man, we just want to say thank you again, man.
You know what that mean when the horn
yeah, no
sound like
doubt,
that?
man.
It sound like that. Let's go. Let's take the city. Take the city. Yeah. Take the city. Take the